Comadres. Welcome to the 17th episode of Comadreando. I'm your host, Marcy, and we have an amazing guest today. His name is Vernon, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. Who are you?
Oh, nice. ¿Cómo estás? I'm Vernon Jackson. I am a licensed cosmetologist and barber in Cincinnati, Ohio. Also, I'm a published author of a dating and relationships book. That's pretty cool. And just a all-around human being that's trying to, continue to be a human becoming in the best way that I can, living from the inside out.
Amazing. All right. So I connected with Vernon. We haven't been following each other that long. I feel like you came up once I started following like an autism account on Instagram through the podcast. You came up as a suggestion and I started following you. And then I saw that you had an event for children with special needs in the barbershop. So I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then with the whole viral phenomenon of that barber that she's in Atlanta, I believe, that she cut the boy's hair and she was like running around. I was like, I feel like this is a good topic to talk about because it's something that a lot of the moms have issues with. So
Yeah.
today's topic is basically barbershops and sensory processing disorder. So it's something that I've been working with my kid ever since he like first got diagnosed. And finally, I posted the other day a reel of him being able to sit in the barber's chair by himself, no iPad, no anything, and like be able to tolerate a haircut. So
Yes.
it's something that, it's important. And with Vernon, I want to work with him so that we can talk about all the different aspects of that and how we can get our kids ready for haircuts.
Wow. Yeah. I saw the reel. It was adorable. It was adorable. He had his lines in his head. I was like, okay, man.
No, and then he was
Yeah,
checking himself out. That had me cracking up. I was like, okay, mister. So
yes.
let's talk about first, because a lot of people might there's people that have our parents that are listeners, but there's people that are not. And then also that they don't really work with people with autism. So I want to kind of talk about why the kids on the spectrum have issues with barbershops and haircuts. So children on the spectrum suffer, they call it a comorbidity. So it's another kind of disability that often is linked to autism. It's not part of autism because not every child has that. But if they have this disorder linked with their autism, they'll have issues with certain things. And it's called sensory processing disorder. Sensory processing disorder basically is the children have a hypersensitivity to different things. That could be to sensations, it can be to smells, to noises. So a lot of the time when we see the behavior, but we don't know why. So we can see a kid, if there's a loud noise, they'll cover their ears with both hands. Or if like the lights are, let's say it's a fluorescent lighting, sometimes it actually makes a humming noise. For us, because we're neurotypical people, we don't hear it, right? But for them, it can actually be painful to the point that it's painful. So all these things are taken into account, and then like the sensation of certain textures, feeling certain things on your body, and smells as well can have them have an adverse reaction to different things. So this is why kids on the spectrum, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them have issues with haircuts. So you were saying, Vernon, that you are a licensed cosmetologist. So I just wanted to see, I wanted to know, like, how long have you been doing it and what made you want to pursue that career?
I've been licensed since '03. And honestly, what made me get into the field was my Cosmo teacher at the time was, coming to my home school at Princeton High School and, trying to, do some recruiting. And I was like, yeah, I'll check out the program. And I go in and I walk around, I'm like, you know what? I'm trying to get away from my home school anyway. I'm like, but listen, I want to be a barber more than anything. She's like, well, you'll be pretty much be able to do some of the same things. We can be working around that. I'm like, all right, cool. It was way cheaper. I
Mm-hmm.
only had to pay $300 for my kid, and they took care of everything else. The transport up to Columbus to take my test and everything.
That's
It
awesome.
worked out. It worked out beautifully. So at the end of the day, it was that a woman saw me further than I saw myself,
Wow.
and so yeah, that's how I got into the field. And you asked me how did I get into with the kids? Was that the question you asked?
Uh, no, like,
No,
well, you
not
said
yet, not
what made
yet.
you want to pursue a career, and then how long you've been doing it. So you've been doing it since 2003. That's about 15 years.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, 15.
No more. Wait,
Jeez.
more.
No, 18. By 18. I'm
Sorry,
sorry, 18.
18, almost 19.
It's okay.
Sorry, my math
18,
is
right?
not
Yeah,
good today.
yeah, listen, listen. After a while, time doesn't even matter anymore. Like,
True,
I don't even
true.
know. I'm guessing with you.
Okay, so so since you have a long career, like you're like decorated,
Yeah,
I'm sure you have so many clients, you touch so many people's lives. Um,
for sure.
so when can you remember like the first time you had a client that had special needs and what that experience was like?
Yeah, the first time I think I was at either at Great Clips, um, yeah, I think it was probably at Great Clips or Supercuts, and um, just one thing I knew was that I had to move with the kid. It wasn't about me focusing on what I wanted to do. It was about what the kid had the capacity for and
Mm-hmm.
how I can get the job done within a reasonable amount of time and while also not feeling rushed in the same sense,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so um, it within itself was a challenge because me being a time nut, it was like
Yeah.
it was that kind of thing. But me also being a person that loves kids and loves people that just need a little bit more patience. I was like, okay, I have to figure out a way to make this work, and I didn't really get the aha moment until recently to how to make it work.
That's awesome. I so my son is 13 now, and he's been
Hmm.
cutting his hair. Like his first haircut, he wasn't diagnosed yet, but after the
Hmm.
onset of autism, um I took him for a haircut, and that's when I first noticed that he wasn't going to be able to tolerate it. So
Hmm.
what I did, we couldn't even cut his hair that day. He actually started crying, and he became upset and tried to leave. So I ended up leaving, but I spoke to the barber at the time, and I told him, I was like, listen, he's not going to be able to do it here. Is there any way that you can come to my house? And I knew him because, well, I take him to somewhere in my neighborhood. I live here in New York City, so in
Hmm.
Washington Heights. So I was able to tell him, like, hey, do you mind coming to the house to cut his hair? And he was like, no problem. So we were able to coordinate that, and it started, like that, like in the house, cutting his hair, being very conscious of the fact that he didn't like feeling the hair on his body. And then the
Yeah,
the barber did the same thing as you, like kind of like taking his time and focusing more on like making him comfortable as opposed to the actual haircut itself.
exactly, exactly. And which is a lot of times that I had to communicate to parents that you know, if it's their first time, either coming to see me or wherever the parent expectation is, I said, put that out the window. This isn't about getting the cleanest and sharpest haircut.
Mm-hmm.
This is about, building a clipper barber relationship with your child, right? And so where I may, I'm not going to let him walk out with, a half done haircut where it's half shaved off, but I'm gonna do the best that I can to make sure that the cut is occurred, so that way he knows what's happening. But sometimes there are times that that the kid just does not want to get a haircut,
Mm-hmm.
and I gotta respect that.
Yep.
And I tell the parents like listen, like don't force this. This is more of their decision than it is yours, you know.
It's
And
true.
so get your feelings, get your expectation out of your heart, out of your head, you know, and then go from there. Because so many times I've experienced where um, like say we're doing a gifted event, I had a kid that came in, and I mean this kid, he did not want to get cut. I mean, the parents heard about me. They're like, they're excited. Oh my God, a barber that gets it. Yes. And he gets in and he does not want to get cut. And so, even come in 2 days back to back to try, So, and I told I asked him, said, what, his first haircut, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, well, he asked for a haircut. I'm like, he asked for a haircut. Like, yeah, how you doing? He said he did amazing. I'm like, well, you might have to wait until you ask for another haircut. It may be messy right now, but he doesn't care about his
Mm-hmm.
hair. He doesn't care, And so, but if he's not ready to get the haircut, us trying to fight with him, put him to the headlock just to get it, it's just not going to work. So, and that's and I can understand for parents to have to, like this that emotional and mental tug of war of having to like, okay, I want my son to be clean cut, or they're not with a shower, they want to do X, Y, and Z,
Mm-hmm.
and they're trying to, find that happy medium. But a lot of times it comes down to parents' expectations exceeding the reality of what the kid is really in a space to do. And so as a barber, what I try to do is communicate that with them and let them know I'm going to be here the best way that I can in this process, at least being someone that understands and has created a system that allows them to get the service without feeling pressured. Hope that makes sense.
Yes. So yeah, that's so important. I feel like I talk to parents a lot about that because I'm a special education teacher as well.
Awesome.
So I talk to parents a lot about that. It's kind of, you have an expectation of your child, but you have to kind of meet them where they're at and like make sure that they feel comfortable about that. You can't force them or put these expectations on them. Even with the hair cutting, like, it took a while for him to actually be able to go to the barbershop. Because I don't know if you've been to Dominican barbershops, but it's lit in there. Like, they have the music going.
Yeah, it's very energetic. It's very energetic. A lot of conversations. Yes,
It's loud, the
yes.
music is going. Sometimes they're smoking hookah, which I try not to take them when it's that kind of atmosphere in the barbershop. But just kind of planning ahead and calling. Do you get calls from parents like to schedule like the haircut?
Yeah, sometimes I do, but but the way my life is set up, I don't look at my phone while I'm cutting unless I'm looking for a
Mm,
phone call of some sort.
okay.
I'm like, yo, don't call me, text me, because those seconds away from my client, I can be focusing on
Yeah.
the haircut itself, right? And so, but I get back to them as soon as I can, but that's why I carved out once a month. I come in and on my day off, and that's when I do the get to the event. I come in on my day off,
Mm-hmm.
and that way there's nobody else in the shop really. Maybe one stylist that may be working, but it's low sensory, no music on. It's just us and the clippers, unless I may turn music on if the clippers may be too loud for them,
Mm-hmm.
and it's to kind of drown out the sound. But I'm doing everything I can to make sure that they have the best environment with the least amount of distraction. And my volunteers from Cincinnati Children's, they come over and they have games, or they try to interact with them as they're getting their hair cut. Just kind of like alleviate the pressure if they need it.
One of the things I used to do, I used to have to actually, at the beginning, I used to have to sit in the chair and put Aiden in my lap and hold
Yes.
him while the barber was cutting his hair. But we would like, count him down like, hey, okay, you're going to cut your hair for 10. And I kind of set that expectation for him so that he knows like at the end of 10 that he's going to get a break.
Yes.
Also like the barber used to kind of with like he would put the clippers, like turn them on, but like let him touch it. and like put it on his
Yes,
skin so he knows that he's not gonna get hurt if he cuts his hair with it.
yes, exactly. What I'm trying to tell you, whatever it takes for comfortability to be achieved, we are going forward. Like, last month I had one of my kids. He comes in. The first time he came in, he was great. He was stellar. I mean, well,
Mm-hmm.
as stellar can be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he got his cut, but this time he wasn't trying to get a haircut. He wanted to sit on the floor. So what did we do? Me, his mother, and his caretaker, or his the person who's with him for real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, they're on the floor, and I'm cutting around him to get to him. To make sure that
Mm-hmm.
we achieve it while he's playing a game on the floor, whatever it
Mm-hmm.
takes. Because at the end of the day, they're the sweetest. They're the coolest, and I get to experience it. I get to be a part of the process um that starts off the most challenging but ends up the most rewarding. And that's the gift of it all. I could have never predicted myself. Like
Yeah.
what I would get out of it and all. Like, I had one. Is this story time? Can I share a story?
Yeah, you can share whatever. This is your show, man.
Okay, for sure, for sure. How to make sure. I'm not some structure. I got
Mi casa es su casa.
So okay, shoe is off there. Let's get it. All right, so I had I kept this kid named Nathan Hare, and he was, he came in real quiet, soft spoken. He's like, "Hey, how you doing? Looking around." He's like, "Okay." He's the first one, and he goes to sit down. He gets his haircut. We talk a little bit, and he plays. Before his haircut, he plays. I had my dog with me that day, so my dog Harley was in there. So he's playing with Harley and whatnot. He gets into the chair, whatever. And after the haircut, he looks at me and like, "Yeah, I like it." I'm like, "Go, go, go, go." He walks out with his mom, and he says, I hear him say to his mom, "I like it here." I
Oh.
was like, and his mom said, I was like, in my head, after he said it, I was like, "God, I wish I had it on camera." Jeez, right? I'm like, man, that's okay. It's for me. His mom says, "Well, you should go tell him." I was like, oh. He comes in, he's like, "I like it here." I'm like, "Really? What about it?" He's like, "I just like it here. It's nice." I was like, "Hey, man, I'm glad, right?" He walks out, and I'm like, if I wasn't such, listen, it's us right now, but if I wasn't such a gangster, I would have balled. You hear me? I would had, but it was but at the end of the year of last year, for my birthday, I took some time. I just thought about, like, like, it started to hit me, the weight of what it is that I'm doing,
Wow.
you know, and the news had it, because I rewatched the interview that the news did on me, and I realized, it just hit me, the line I said, like, I know what it feels like to have people's perspective, their perception of you, be their reality. They don't even know you,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not what I want for these kids, right? I started crying then. That's all the tears came out. I was
Aw.
like, all right. They went on the news though. It was in my house.
No, of
It was like
course.
on his couch. You know
Listen,
what I
men
mean?
could
But
cry.
I
Stop
felt
it,
it
Five.
though.
No, it's like I feel like a lot of the time people that work with our kids don't understand like the impact that they have and the
Yeah.
difference that they make in their lives, because most of the time people don't really take that into the account, and they kind of just like go by the wayside, right? Like they just like disregard them. um
Yeah.
I have taken my son out of barbershops because I have switched his barber. He hasn't had the same barber ever since he was a toddler. But
Hmm.
I have had to take him out because like I feel like maybe that person doesn't understand the disability, and maybe, they're like a little judgmental, or I feel like their frustration level is really low. So,
Yeah, for sure.
switching the barber for the thing. But people like you that actually get it and understand where the kids are coming from and are willing to put in that work, like it shows that you love what you do. You know what I'm saying? And not
Mhm.
only that, but you actually care about the kids, and then the impact that you're having on their lives is something that you see, like this little small moment, but like in the long run, it's huge. It's a huge impact that
Yeah.
you're having on their lives.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, yeah, oh my god, your face, your smile is like I'm saying here.
Just trying to be calm. That's all. Trying to be cool.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit. So I don't know if you've I know you've done some research about autism, but a lot of the time women, or girls rather, are not diagnosed early enough. So do
Mhm.
you know of any salons that do some kind of program that, or that like work with people with special needs, or women or girls with special needs?
You know what? No, I don't. I don't. Like one of the things I'm looking to do this year um is to start turning gifted into a nonprofit program and to raise money in order to pay stylists also and to bring on other people to do it. Only way I've thought about doing it before is I mean I've been reached out to by other stylists to say or by stylists to say, hey, I want to do this, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I can give them a green light on it because I don't know them, and if I put my name behind them, I want to make sure they know, or I know at least like how they handle kids and what their process is like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because so I've been in the process of kind of like structuring that idea, and I don't. So that's really, where I'm at. But there only thing I can say that there have been women that have reached out, and I can refer them that are here in the Cincinnati area, or in the Dayton area, if you will. But that's about it, though. I don't, because it's like really, as I think I'm like one of the first ones that actually ever like package up, you
Mm-hmm.
know, a, the product of like, yo, every third Monday I'm doing haircuts for the gifted, from this time to this time, and it's free to you. It's free to the parent. So
That's
yeah.
big, man. That is big.
So when I did it, I was like, I'm gonna come on my day off. I'll do a discount for people for real. And I just do it. And once I posted it, I had a couple people hit me up like, hey, I want to sponsor a haircut. I was like, where? And so, all right,
That's so
cool, all
dope.
right, right. And so then I did that, and then I just shared like, yo, this is crazy. Like people actually hit me up wanting to sponsor haircuts. This is amazing. And then all of a sudden, people started doing it. And I was like, wow. And so as of today, um, we raised about for this year. I've been trying to get this year covered. Um, about $5,000.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And last year we had about I was like $1,500 to $2,000 that was raised to cover
Mm-hmm.
all the cuts for the time I was doing it from last year. So it's like, so I'm now like, okay, I got to get the nonprofit thing going on because people are going to want to, get their tax deductions and stuff and go help me out tax wise and all that good stuff. So, so, all right, here we go. That's where it is. So, yeah, in closing, I have to like it's at the point right now. I didn't have a plan for this, but now I have to plan for it.
Yes.
Yeah,
As you're
yeah.
speaking, I'm getting like all these like little downloads. I'm just like think like my brain, the way my brain works, it's kind of like, you say something and then I have like all these ideas, like it kind of just like explodes. So I'm just thinking like setting up a network of barbers that do the same thing, right? In the Cincinnati area,
Yes.
or the Ohio, like Dayton or Cincinnati, Ohio area, right? You coming out
Yes.
with some kind of training program to help barbers, especially the ones that are coming out of school, to learn how to work with people with special needs, right? That's two.
Ooh.
And number three, we can collaborate and create a kind of like a visual, like a graphic that the parents, like we can send parents when you do the events, we can send them a graphic to kind of get like a social story to get them ready for the barber. And like a schedule, like, okay, we're gonna walk into the barbershop, then you're gonna do this, next is that, and then at the end, blah blah blah. Because this is kind of like what I already did with my son. So with my son knows that, I call the barber obviously, and then he tells us to come down. When we come down, he knows, he walks in, he sits on the couch. If he has somebody in the chair, he'll wait his turn until it's time to cut his hair. Usually he'll let me know when he's finishing. So it's like 5 minutes tops waiting in the lounge, right? Once he sits down, he knows he has to take off his glasses. The barber puts that cape. What is that called? A cape? Apron? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
He puts the cape on. He knows he sits down. Then the barber starts to cut his hair. At the end of the haircut, he knows that he like takes off the thing, puts on the gel, and then he goes and he gets money from me, and he goes and pays the barber, and he says thank you.
Yes.
Right? And then they have a
Yes.
little exchange. Like they already know. They talk, like he'll be like, "Oh, Aiden, how's school?" And Aiden responds to him, and he'll ask him, "How are you?" And then like that's the extent of it, because he doesn't have like that back and forth conversation just yet. So then at the end, then like he says thank you. He pays the barber. He gives him a tip, and then we leave. And then we always go afterwards to there's a Popeyes right in front of the barbershop. So because he does good, he goes and gets Popeyes. But I'm thinking like we can create some kind of visual for children, like to get ready, and then like, maybe tailor it, like at least just for the steps inside the barbershop, and then after that the parents can like have a conversation. But I think that would be a good thing. What do you think?
Yo. I like it. That's what I'm saying. Like, listen, you get listen, when we get downloaded with the idea, right? That's our responsibility, right? And it's like, all right, well, cool. I'm inspired for it, and I'm with my inspiration. I'm gonna be life into you with it, and now we can work it out together, right? So what people end up doing it so many times, which is like, oh, I got an idea, you should do it, and I'm like, yo, I already got a lot of stuff going. How about you do it? We partner up with it, and now we are expanding. It's covering way more ground.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now it's a partnership, and we're working together. Now we're all winning. Yes, let's do it. Let's now. I'm like, all right. I can, start off a gifted, the gifted Instagram page. I can do that. If you're a barber in whatever city, whatnot, and you're cutting hair and you're comfortable with cutting hair with special needs kids, like send me information. I'll put you on this on our profile. And your contact information so that people come and see you.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, a lot of the parents, it's a lot of like hit and miss, and sometimes like, the people don't know, and the kid comes out looking crazy because they can't tolerate the haircut, and it's frustrating for the parent too. Because at the beginning, let me tell you, I don't know about you, but I stress sweat. So when I get stressed out, I start sweating.
Right, I sweat and itch. Okay, all right. Talking about double piss.
So,
I'm like,
I would sit with Aiden. He's crying at the beginning. He's crying. I'm crying, and he's like, I'm full of hair. He's full of hair. People are looking at us. That's the biggest thing, though. People's judgment is like wild. People are looking like, what's wrong with your kid? Or like, you're a bad mom. Your kid's not behaving at the barbershop. So, it's very stressful. If we can avoid that for parents in the future, or like reduce it, it would, I feel like we'd be doing like a really great service for them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Now I've got an idea when we get done. While I'm semi cute, I'm just gonna I'm gonna record a video just as an announcement to just to barbers and to parents just you know just try to be more patient with the kids. You know what I mean? They're not just be more
Yes.
patient, but try to carve out time we can have time with your special needs clients in a more private setting that and not so they're not being 'cause everybody don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And the thing is, and people don't have to understand. You know what I mean? Like it'd
Mm-hmm.
be great if they did, but everybody don't have the patience. It's like a lot of parents don't always have the patience with their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like so, imagine the general public that just doesn't get it. And in my shop, I've done some more, and my shop is very patient. The clients, they're very good at minding their own
Mm-hmm.
business, if you will. But don't get me wrong. I definitely have whether even kids that that aren't on the spectrum. There's just regular kids that get on my nerves. Like what? Like, man, you know what? You know what? Get this haircut. I'm tired. I'm, I'm over here sweating. I'm stressed out. Okay, I'm itching. My deodorant done ran out. You know what I mean? Like, turn the AC on. You know? Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm sorry. I got emotional right
No,
there.
it's okay.
I had a little flashback.
So
No
no,
judgment.
seriously, like it's a lot. And then now I'm and then okay, so then the transition was from like me sitting with him, right? Then eventually I could stand
Yeah.
like proximity. Like I
Right.
was like like
Right.
near the barber. I'm like the barber's moving and I'm moving to the other side and we're like switching. So I can make sure that he's getting the cut and he's staying still, helping him hold the head. And then now it's like and then he would be able to sit later on with an iPad or an iPhone. Now he just leaves the phone and everything and the iPad. But this has been like years in the making. It wasn't like it didn't happen like overnight. That's another thing. Parents need to.
Yeah.
I love parents and we have a lot of expectations for our kids, but then there's this I believe it's a Native American saying, and the definition for autism basically means in their own time, right? So
Ooh.
you need to
What?
yeah, like they do things in their own time. Like Aiden will tell you, like he is not with if he's not with it, he's not with it, and I'm not gonna force him, because at the end of the day, it's gonna be a meltdown, and he's not the only one. Like a lot of my students, they're very honest. They will not lie to you, and if they say no, it's a wrap. Like don't even try, because it will not be a pleasant experience for you. You know.
Right. Don't even press the issue because you press the issue, I'm gonna press on you.
That's how it
All right.
happens. That's how it happens all the time. So
Yeah.
I love the fact that you love your job. It's so cool. So those are some of the tips, right? Like they can get to know you first, right? They bring the kid in first. You can
Yeah.
read them stories. You can show them, the parents can read them stories rather. The parents can show them a video about what it is at the haircut, and then once they go in, the barber making the kid comfortable, kind of, building that rapport for them to get to know
Hmm.
you, and showing them the equipment and kind of walking them through the process, right? Like okay, now I'm gonna start
Yeah.
cutting your hair, you know.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. You got it. You for real. Just let me know what you need me to do to make it a complete
No,
situation.
we definitely I feel like we're like between both of us, once we get together, it's gonna be lit, like the young people say. Um
Yeah, for sure.
so wait, I didn't know you're a published author. Like I'm like, oh, this guy's so
Yeah.
cool, whatever. Because I see you go on Instagram and post videos giving relationship advice, but I didn't know you had a book out. Can we're
Yeah.
gonna change topics and like kind of veer into that a
For
little
sure.
bit. So
For sure.
what is your relationship book about?
All right. Well, here, ah, here we go. Sorry, my pelvis in the camera. It's right here. All right, Looking Glass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a man's reflections within the scope of dating and relationships. Um, so it's pretty much just giving a my perspective on dating, and trying to give women an insight on what men have, what men go through, um, and to, to hopefully, as I put it, for the woman who is looking to understand, but for the man who is looking to articulate, right? And so a lot of times in dating or even in life, you don't get the other side of the perspective because you never had to. There's things as men we never have to understand, but in this situation, there's some, from my perspective, there's so many books catered to women, trying to talk into women, and but there's never anything that's out there not defending men, but just giving a perspective about men in this category that humanizes us, right? And so, one of my favorite quotes that a woman had left as a review, she inboxed me, said, "Vern, I read your book once and I cried twice."
Oh, wow.
Right. And I was like, wow, right? Because, so it becomes a book that talks about dating yourself intentionally, learning who you are, learning your own heart story, learning the heart story of the person that you're with, how important communication really is. Are you really as good at communication as you think you are? Like, and also saying, like, I mentioned in the book that we aren't groomed. A lot of times we weren't groomed to be the person that you were taught to look for, that you were like groomed to look for. Like what does that look like? And a lot of us in this, the the operating system in which that we operate in dating has changed from back then,
Yes.
right? And so everybody's trying to plug in and have what our grandparents and great grandparents had, but we're not even in that same shit. It's not
Yeah.
it's not that anymore. And so, it's like no one is, as even with, let's say, with working with kids on the spectrum, like no one is addressing and learning the person that is in front of their face. Who are you? What are you about? And what do you like? What are you insecure about? What's your vibe like? Because the thing is, people are afraid to be vulnerable, and the thing is, but they look at being vulnerable as a giving up something. They're giving up something that is precious. Instead of saying, like, being vulnerable is just you getting on the outside what matters to you, so you're not holding it in where change cannot happen. That's the biggest thing. We're in it we're in it together. And if someone uses what you gave them against you, that's on them. It's not on you.
True.
You know? So get it out on the outside. That's what, that's a lot. But that's what I'm very passionate about, about men and women,
Yeah.
getting a realer understanding of each other and creating the environment that is conducive for communication. Because just because you say you can talk to me,
Yeah.
doesn't mean people go trust you. And because you don't know if someone's good at communication until it's an opportunity for it to go left, and it goes left, and you see, okay, this is how you really communicate. This is how you actually listen. And so, and that takes time to build. Ships. It's a relationship, and ships are not built overnight. And there's very intricate details that go into, the stress testing of a ship before it actually gets on water. You know, so if that's the case, before your relationship goes to the next level, why would it not be stress
Yeah.
tested? So yeah.
Vernon, I love that. So yeah, like I've done a couple of episodes on the show about dating because I'm a single mom, and
Uh-huh.
it's part of the journey, like because I was actually married before I'm divorced. So part of the journey was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like figuring out how to communicate with people and how to communicate effectively. Because like me, when I teach, the way I communicate is very like, I'm telling you what to do, you know what I'm saying? But when you
Yeah.
communicate in a relationship, it's like you have to understand where that person is coming from. You have to meet them where you're at and kind of think about how the things you say can be interpreted by that person based on their experiences and where they're at um emotionally and psychologically as well, because there's
Mm-hmm.
men go through a lot of things, like mental health issues or depression, we can't expect everybody to be perfect all the time. And it's not that there is perfection. I feel like that doesn't even exist. It's like, they're not everybody's the best version of themselves all the time. So taking that into account, instead of like, because there's a lot of things that go on in relationships, and somebody says something, you misinterpret it, and then like it's a fight, or you don't give that person a chance, and you kind of just like leave, right? A lot of people now, they're not willing, because of like, there's so many people out there, and like Tinder and Instagram, and people, you have access to people all over the world at all times, right? So people now, I feel like a lot of the time are not are not willing to put in the work, because they're like, oh well, whatever, I'm just gonna be out and I'm gonna find somebody else 2 minutes later, or whatever the case may be.
And I fully, it's this disposable culture, right? And really, all you doing is disposing of yourself, in the capacity that says like, you're like, I'm like, what makes you worth staying with if you can't figure out, how to be in this situation? Is this discussion actually that hard? Is it worth leaving, right?
Sure.
And the thing, I had to learn a long time ago where that I had to pay a lot more attention to what it was that how I was listening. I learned how to listen. This is my thing. I'm a way better listener than I am a talker, because I'm like, well, I have to make sure that what I'm responding to is actually what I'm responding to, and not my own imagination, right? And I had to learn how to ask questions, right? Because it's in asking questions is that you get a better understanding of the person that you are in front of.
Yeah.
And everyone has their own story. Think about how long it took you to learn who you are at the capacity that you can live with yourself. And you still get your own damn nerves sometimes. So imagine you meeting somebody else and you're upset because they don't get you immediately. Like, come on now, how that's unrealistic. But the expectation that we have on people that exceeds the reality that because our attraction and our passion exceeds the amount of time that we've known them and been able to accrue actual knowledge of them. The passion is just the fuel to get us that we use to get us through those hard moments. It's not what we do to sit in. It is always combustible, right? Like look for the hard conversation, the hard moments. Like, oh, I don't like this. Wow, why don't you like it? Talk to me about it.
Yeah.
Where'd it come from?
I in like my research of like getting ready to date again, because the thing is like you come out of a long-term relationship, and I I did a lot of work to like work on myself and be okay with being alone, and liking myself enough to take myself out on dates, and like would I date me? You know what I'm saying? Like I would ask myself that question, and like the answer obviously now is yes, but like I can't say that was the case the whole time, So one thing that Esther Perel, like something that you touched on earlier, Esther Perel talks about the dynamics of relationships now are not the same as they were 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like we look at these relationships of like our grandparents or our great grandparents. They were together for 50 years. But like of those 50 years, how many of those years were they actually happy?
Healthy,
right? Healthy relationship. And like there's people that they're married 50 years, but they don't sleep in the same bed. They can't even stand each other. Like it's legit. Like there's nothing else to do, and we're just gonna stay together because there's nothing else. And I know a lot of people might come for me for this, but it's the truth. A lot of the dynamics of relationships back in the day, women used to get married for necessity, right? To be able to survive in society. Like women weren't able to buy property on their own. Women weren't able to do a lot of things on their own. Having a man was like a flex, So now it's different. Like women can do all these things. So the dynamic of relationships even like have changed. Like people are no longer doing it for financial gain or necessity. Now it's for romance. But then again, even that, it's kind of like a little bit outdated because, like, you know, you're placing, like you said, these unrealistic expectations that this person's going to be the end all be all. They're going to be everything for you. And that is not the case.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No. Yeah.
People expect other people to make them happy. No.
Right.
You make you happy. You make you happy. That's your job.
To serve me. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure. It's the toughest thing. It's the toughest thing ever. And I was talking to one of my friends in Cali yesterday about this because, you know, with social media, it's this big debate about like men paying for this and, you know, and what man is out there, X, Y, and Z, right? Because the thing is, the feminist movement, as powerful as it is, as it was, you know, and putting women in the forefront and say, I can do this too. Well, now we see and we believe it, right? So now you're getting your own, you have your own. So then why are we debating about you having mine too? Right? Why are we, why, like if you got it, you can do it, beautiful, great. So are you trying to get mine too so you can stop working so you don't have to do nothing to be home now? Is that actually making sense? Or like how do you expect this to work now?
Yeah.
You know?
Because that's also putting extra financial pressure on the man. Not saying that, you know, there's men that if they can do it, cool, that's fine. But what I'm saying is like the expectation of a man taking care of everything, like all of a sudden you're looking for the like a partner, and then you're looking for a dude that you can sit down and just not work. There's no way that you're gonna have, because the thing is that if that happens, that's cool, but you have to think about one income. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's just one income now, you want to live like these Instagram models and these bloggers and stuff, and you have one income. How are you supposed to actually like realistically do all these things, and your partner is supposed to like take care of all of that for you? You know what I'm saying? That's a little selfish and also unrealistic. You know what I'm saying? So I see that debate. Like I understand both sides of the coin. Like I see where the girls are coming from, but I also see where the men are coming from.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, when you see it that way, it becomes like, okay, what's best for the two people, right? It's like everyone is comparing the life that they're not living to a life that they are observing, right? Like, no, like what are you doing? It's like if I know for a fact that you do not like going to a particular club, right? I'm not going to force you to go to a particular club. And I'll be dumb to be upset with you and start arguing with you for doing that, right? So, but people, what they're doing is in their dating, they have this expectation about what they see about everybody else, whatever, and they're trying to impose their will and their idea onto other people.
Yeah, which is actually really toxic.
And no, it's AF, like for real, like it is, and people don't. You know, I think that if people in dating allow themselves to have more discussions in a way, from the perspective to learn the other person, right? Like, teach me you. Like in my book, I wrote that you're like, be willing to teach someone your love language.
Yes.
Know your love language, know you enough to be able to be coached and to coach someone on who you are.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's how it is. Like, no, I don't like that. I prefer it like this, for real. Like, even when I date, you know, when I dated women from like Columbus or Dayton or whatever, I'm like, yo, listen, if you're okay with driving, great. I'm not a big driver. This is not my thing, right? And so, you know, so to try to, you know, I got my line where I'm comfortable with, where I can do it. Now, if you need me for a particular time, I'll push past that. But besides that, that's just not my thing, you know? So don't try to make me do what is not comfortable for me, right? Because it's only going to create conflict, you know? And so no matter how, so the reality is knowing in reality, okay, there's a line. I can't go, I'm not going to be able to go beyond that moment, It's just not, because it's going to go create conflict for us. So how about we discover what is going to be the balance that allows us to get
Mm-hmm.
what we would like at the capacity that we can in reality, and not it's a make believe story.
Yeah. So that going back to that feminist thing, I'm a feminist. Like I believe, in
Hmm.
equality and all that stuff. But with that being said, I feel like there are roles in relationships, right? There's roles in
Hmm.
relationships. And yes, I can do the same thing that a man can do, whatever. But when I'm dating someone, and I lead with this, like, I swipe right on Tinder and they're talking and they're like, oh, I'm going to take you on a date, blah, blah, blah. Cool. But I like let them know, like, hey, I like to be courted by the person I'm dating. Like, I'm a, powerhouse. Like, I take control, and I'm a very type A woman, right? I do the things,
Hmm.
I get stuff done, I'm a boss in my job, whatever. But what I'm saying is
Hmm.
that, when I'm out with a partner, I'm not looking for a partner like to be like for me to be bossing over the person. No, it's like kind of like, I want to be able to feel safe and be comfortable in being feminine with that person. And I want that person to be able to be comfortable being their divine male self. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all like about a system of checks and balances. It can't just be, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could be a boss, whatever, but like in my relationship, I know what my role is as a woman. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. And so I think that that becomes a conversation of what that looks like to you, right? Like we throw the
Mm-hmm.
word around like courtship, right? Like, okay, what does courtship looks like? You know what I mean? Because sometimes you think courtship is like, oh, like you taking me out to dinner, or I mean, okay, but then what is it? How do I like as it? This is how I think, right? I take you out to dinner, right, a couple of times, right? I'm paying,
Mm-hmm.
cool, all right, whatever. Um, and we're doing a discovery thing, and you don't even know if like, I don't know if you really like me like that. You may find me
Yeah.
attractive. You may think I'm cute, but I don't know if you like me like that for real. For real. What is the like? How? What is your responsibility in that space,
Yeah, you
right?
have to get to know
Like,
the
so.
person. Because,
I mean, I'm just saying, like, so because it's like old saying, well, we go out, I open the woman's door, right? What is it that the woman is typically supposed to do when the guy opens her door?
say thank you.
Reach over, and when he gets on the other side, open his door.
Ah, yeah. Oh, you mean in the car?
In the
Okay,
car,
okay, got
correct.
it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so like there's these things that the idea is you cover me right here, I got you right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we going on a date, yeah, I'm paying whatnot, but are you like, oh my God, thank you so much for for what you're doing. Are you building me up and letting them that you found yourself secure
Yeah.
and safe with me? Are you just out here to thank you? You move around, you like as you're entitled
Yeah.
to being treated this way.
That's a big thing that somebody I dated, he told me that, like, that was something that was a turnoff for him, for some women that he dated, that they felt like they didn't need to say thank you. And I'm a very gracious person. Like, I'm literally like, I say thank you for everything. Like, it could be somebody in the street that they do me a favor or they hold open the door. As a matter of fact, leaving the building. If I'm leaving the building and somebody gets there first and they open the door for me, I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not expecting anybody to do anything. Like, that's not
Yeah,
the
yeah.
expectation. People are going out of
Right.
their way to do things for you, and you need to be gracious. And it's not like a male female thing. It's like literally being a kind human being. You need to be able to
Yes.
say thank you. Like, there's this woman that, like, this like toxic like spirituality at one point. Like, you know, they're all like, oh, you have to manifest and da, 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 da. You have to be grateful. You have to be gracious. The universe is not going to deliver anything to you if you are not a grateful person. And that translates to other humans, right? Because we all have, divine in us. So if you're not grateful to people that are doing things for you, how do you expect to attract those things to your life? Does that make sense?
And keep it. Of course, it's the I talked to my friend the other day. I said I don't I don't reach, I receive, right? Because the reality is when you the manifestation piece comes from you becoming a vessel, a space that has the capacity to receive what it is that you are manifesting, right? And so therefore, I don't want to. So if I'm becoming this, if I have the capacity to to get this, to get what's coming to me, I just gotta be in. I just gotta move in the direction as I'm moving and go for it and be able to receive it when it's coming to me. Like that's so therefore if you're you want this enterprising man or X, Y, and Z, but you lack the patience and the encouragement and the ability to challenge him in a loving way without demasculating him. And you articulate with your logic and while using your feelings to show how you feel. But if you don't know all this other, how do you know how to take money and build it for yourself? Do you know how to, like what are you doing to balance out, not balance in terms of to being stale, but just be in rhythm and making music with the person that you're trying to move with?
I love that.
You know what I'm saying? So if so therefore if I'm opening a door for you, if I'm paying for everything and all you do is being cute and smiling at me having a conversation, you're wasting my time and my money. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, the money you can make it back. You know what I'm saying? But time, whoo.
But this is a stick though, right? Like I work hard for my money. You know what I'm saying? Like it's this song I heard, and it said like, don't call me cheap, because girl, I work for this, right? Because like all my like I know where every dollar that comes in, I know where it's coming from. And so where if I'm spending my money, I'm spending my time literally on you. And so where the last thing I want to feel is as if like, like if you don't know if you like me yet, then we just go Dutch. If we're in discovery, if you still trying to figure out if you really dig me or not, if you X, Y, and Z, then we can go Dutch until further notice.
So I don't know. I talked about this in one of the dating episodes, and basically my friend asked me if I pay when I go on first dates, and if the vibe is not there, I'm paying either the whole bill or half the bill, because I'm like, I don't want anybody to hold that over me, like, oh, I pay for your stuff and I'm whatever, So if you see me reach for the bill, that means like kind of like you're not gonna most likely you're not gonna see me again.
but
there has to be a struggle though too. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's me. I mean, and everybody's different. But like seriously, like I see where you're going, like where you're coming from, because also men date a lot of women. So if you think about it, that's a lot. That's a lot of money to spend. Like if you're going on first, like at least 3 to 4 first dates a week.
Yeah.
And you're spending, like, and you're dropping like $200 or whatever per date. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, even over 100. Like it's easy to drop a bill. You know what I mean? Like you got a couple of drinks, so depending upon the vibe you're going for, like you just never know. And so that's why I love the feminist movement. I love the time that's happening right now, because everything's been shaken up so much that everybody is having an opportunity to experience the other side of the table. Everybody experiences the other side of the table. Women are working in the same things that women were being like saying how men were treating them, or X, Y, and Z, or how men were with their money. Now women are being with their money. You know what I'm saying? The problem is with that is that women are getting their money, but they want the man's money too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got my own Louis bag, but I want you to buy me one too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's this thing that's like it's just nuts to me. And then dudes are also on the side where that now dudes are expressing how relationships and how women have made them feel. You know what I'm saying? And sharing their vulnerability and their trauma and their feelings. And we're like, you feel like that?
Yeah.
What? You a man? You can't what? Like it's like so you want to know what men feel like? They tell you what they feel like, and now you over here vilifying them and and belittling them for feeling how they feel because you don't agree with it.
I feel like there's so much, like you were saying, there's so much research about how women think, right? Like, but
Mm-hmm.
like Esther Perel says this too. She says that there's not enough research about how men communicate and how they experience things. Cause
Yeah,
yeah, we talk about
because when we
men, you know
do,
what I'm saying, but like, there's certain things that like there's a lot of misconceptions that haven't been cleared up. To be honest.
because when we try to talk, it's like as soon as a woman hear what she doesn't agree with, it's like, I don't agree with that, and then and it's dismissed.
Mm.
It's like no, it doesn't matter, right? And people have a I think that in my experience, it's definitely men and women, but I date women, like um, but guys do it too. People do it. Is that people haven't learned how to accept someone's story and their side of the story and work with it, even though they don't agree with it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's like just because you don't agree with it doesn't validate the perspective,
Yes.
right? You might be like, you know what, like I hear you, I didn't understand it, I don't agree with it because that's not how I see it, but I'm sorry,
Yeah.
and but the thing is that that part of that line of demarcation of experience, it is the experience. I didn't live your story.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what it's like to be on this side of the table. And if I'm telling you how it is to be on this side of the table, and you're like, no, it's not that. It's not like that. Have you ever been a man?
Yeah.
No. Have you ever dated women at this capacity? No. So the only thing you know that looks like this is if a dude is just going after you for sex,
Mm-hmm.
right? And how you feel when dude is going after you for sex? You feel like I mean, if I want to give it, I'm gonna give it, but I want to feel like he just acted me for it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So why would it? So how you think a dude feels when a woman is acting him for it, but she's not? He's not even messing with him that way. She doesn't inspire him to do more.
Mm.
So it's the
That's
parallel.
deep.
But people can't see beyond the limitation of their own story,
Yep.
right? So
I love that you're like so passionate about it. It makes me like I love it.
yeah, my friend, she's like Brian, I feel like you just up for me. Like yeah, because y'all ain't. Like, yeah, I mean, I understand. I have a high emotional IQ, so I understand what women go through. I get it, but I'm not here to coddle you. I'm here to challenge your perspective of how you're looking at
Yeah.
things, because you're being selfish in how you're seeing
Yep.
it, and it's not fair because it's like this because it's like you have friends with daughters,
Yes.
and what they do when something bad is happening around the daughter, they try to shield their daughter from it.
Yeah.
They try to protect them and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a microcosm to what happens to women for a lot of women for their whole lives, right? So now when it comes to adulthood and people like it's like this whole thing. People are almost conditioned to treat pretty or treat women delicately when they're really savages. And then meanwhile, you taking hits, like pow,
You
we taking
said that
daggers.
savage.
We're taking it's just savages. It's just savages. It's savages, yo.
Oh
You know what I'm saying? You're like real, like you know what I'm saying? Like it's the song one artist said like, yo, pretty taught me ugly
my
lessons.
god.
Like dude would treat like the treat like she's beautiful, she's cool, she's sweet. I'm gonna treat her this 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 on this like yo, I gotta treat her this way. But really, she's like, I don't give a shit about none of that shit, man. I don't even care about none of that. I don't even, like for real. Dude, heart is like this. You know what I'm saying? And she like, oh my God, this is gross. Like, oh my God, I
Mm-mm.
mean, you're so nice, you're sweet. Like, thank you so much. But really, she's like the dude that's over here that don't give a shit. Like, yo, what you go shut up? Go sit down somewhere. Oh my God, why you know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? The dude
Oh
who
my
it's like
god.
it's like what's happening
Oh my
here?
god.
It's what's happening
Vernon,
here,
so
man.
I'm gonna in the show notes I'm gonna drop a link to your book, and then let's close out the episode. Thank you so much for being on the show. And I'm gonna close the episode how I usually close it, which is follow me at Comadreando Pod on IG, and you can follow Vernon at
the best, the number one in the word period.
Okay. And if you want Vernon back to have a dating episode, like a full dating episode, and we could talk about relationship stuff, let me know. Send me a Comadre-Gram at my email, which is comadreando@escthenetwork.com. And as always, thank you for spending time with your comadre and your compadre. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye.